The starship Aurora's gaze drifted through the quiet dark of Sector 9, its silver hull glowing faintly with the energy of 100 alien technologies. Inside, the ship's research bay buzzed with calm, ordered activity. Screens glimmered with soft light. Strange instruments hummed like sleepy insects. And the alien scientists, tall, blue-skinned Lumerians, moved with their usual grace. For them, this was a normal day. For Elias Ward, the only human aboard the ship, it was anything but. Elias sat on a flat metal platform, legs swinging loosely over the side. His hands rested in his lap while 3 Lumerian researchers surrounded him, each holding some kind of scanning tool that blinked in purple and green patterns. The air smelled faintly like cooled metal and a soft, sweet scent he never managed to identify. The lead scientist, Dr. Shira Valen, stared at him with her large silver eyes wide in disbelief. "He did it again," she said quietly. One of the assistants, Ron, snapped his neck around so fast his shimmering hair whipped behind him. "You are mistaken. Humans cannot sustain that level of output without a recharge cycle. It is physically impossible." Shira did not look away from Elias. "Run the readings again." Elias sighed. "You guys know I can hear everything, right?" The aliens ignored him. Ron lifted his scanner, tapped the glowing symbols, and pointed it at Elias's chest. A soft chime echoed. The scanner flashed gold. Ron froze. Shira leaned forward. "Well?" Ron's voice came out in a whisper. "He did it, for the 3rd time, without stopping." The lab went silent. The other Lumerians gasped. Their pale faces shifted from blue to a faint violet, their species' version of shock. Shira stepped back and lowered her tablet. "Human endurance. It surpasses our data by at least 200%. This changes everything." Elias scratched the back of his head. Should I be worried? You're all staring like I just punched a hole through the ship." Shira turned to him with a look somewhere between amazement and suspicion. "Elias Ward of Earth, you completed 3 consecutive power cycle simulations without requiring a recharge. According to every Lumerian model, that should be impossible." Elias gave a half shrug. "Earth gym memberships are cheap." The Lumerians exchanged confused glances, still trying to understand the strange human humor they had yet to decode. But the truth was simpler. Elias was part of a diplomatic exchange program between the humans of the Terran Union and the Lumerian Star Council. Humans were known for curiosity, stubbornness, and an unusual ability to adapt to nearly any challenge. The Lumerians admired those traits. That was why they invited a human to serve as a cultural representative and test subject for their interspecies research projects. Still, no one expected this. The test Elias had completed was designed to measure biological energy output. For Lumerians, using their natural internal energy meant they needed a recharge period, a slow meditation that reset their bodies. Humans didn't have that. Humans ran on food, determination, and apparently sheer willpower. Shira walked around Elias slowly, as if studying an unfamiliar creature. "You have no internal energy reserves like ours, and yet you completed the simulation 3 times. Your heart rate is stable, your mind is alert, your muscles show no extreme fatigue." She turned to her assistants. "How can a species function like this?" Ryan shook his head. "If we tried to match that performance, we would collapse." Elias grinned. "Yeah, but humans collapse only when really necessary. And sometimes not even then." Shira finally looked directly into his eyes. "Elias, do all humans possess this level of endurance?" He thought for a moment. "Not all, but a lot of us push ourselves pretty hard. We train, we run, we fight through pain. It's kind of what we do." The Lumerians murmured softly to one another. To them, this was unheard of. Their species valued balance and moderation. They never pushed themselves past the edge. Doing so was considered dangerous and unnecessary. Humans were the opposite. Elias hopped off the platform and stretched his arms. So, what's next? Another test? Shira raised a hand. No, you need rest. He blinked. Rest? I feel fine. That, Ryan muttered, is the problem. Elias looked around the room. The aliens were now whispering intensely, their voices rising and falling like waves of harmonic sound. He wandered toward the window that overlooked deep space. Stars glittered like cold white sparks scattered across the dark. He pressed his palm against the glass and breathed out slowly. It had been 6 months since he left Earth. 6 months since he last saw real sunlight. 6 months of floating through space with a species that barely understood him and that he barely understood in return. But he liked them. They were gentle, curious, intelligent, kind, even if they treated him like a walking mystery. Suddenly, the door slid open with a soft hiss, and Commander Nerra Solis, the ship's second-in-command, strode in. She was taller than the others, with sharper features and markings on her forehead that glowed when she was irritated. They were glowing now. "What is this disturbance I hear about?" she demanded. Shira stepped forward. "Commander, we have confirmed that Elias completed the simulation 3 times without a recharge." Nerra's eyes widened. 3 times? Without stopping, Shira added. The commander turned to Elias slowly, her expression unreadable. "Human, explain this." Elias raised his hands. "Look, I just did the test like you asked. I didn't know it would cause a crisis." "This is not a crisis," Nerra said sharply. Then she paused. "It is unexpected." Shira held up her tablet. "Commander, our models cannot explain his endurance. We need additional tests." Nerra shook her head. "No, not yet." The room fell silent. Nerra walked toward Elias, studying him with the same curiosity the scientists had. But her gaze was sharper, more analytical, like a warrior judging a potential rival. "Human endurance," she said slowly, "has long been mentioned in council reports, yet I believe the claims were exaggerated. Now I see they were not." Elias shrugged again. "We're tougher than we look." Nerra stepped even closer. "If one human can do this, what could an army of humans do?" Shira frowned. "Commander, this is a research mission, not a military one." "Yes," Nerra replied. "But others in the galaxy may not care about that difference." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying humans might be seen as a threat?" Nerra folded her arms. "The galaxy respects strength. It fears the unknown. And humans, it seems, are both." Elias looked down at his hands. He had never thought of himself as a threat to anyone. Back on Earth, he hadn't even been the strongest person at his gym. But out here, among aliens who had lived peacefully and predictably for centuries, he was something strange, something unpredictable, something powerful. Shira placed a calming hand on Nerra's arm. "We should not jump to conclusions. Elias is only one human." Nerra didn't look convinced. "One is enough to raise questions." The room felt heavier suddenly, like gravity had thickened. Elias cleared his throat. "So, what happens now?" Shira took a deep breath. "Now we study, we learn, and we understand." Nerra nodded slowly. "And we prepare, because if we have discovered this, others will too." Elias looked from face to face. The Lumerians weren't afraid of him, but they were afraid of what he represented. He wasn't sure how he felt about that. Finally, Shira stepped toward him with a gentle smile. "Elias, you are not alone. We will guide you through this. You have our trust. And our curiosity," Ra'an added. "And possibly," Nerra said quietly, "our greatest challenge yet." Elias blinked. "Challenge?" Nerra's eyes glowed. "The galaxy is watching, human, and soon it will react. The next morning aboard the Aurora's gaze, the ship moved through space like a silent arrow. The metallic corridors glowed with pale blue lights, and the hum of the engines formed a steady background rhythm. Life on the ship usually felt peaceful and predictable. But today, everything was different. Today, the ship carried a secret the Lumerians barely understood, and one the galaxy would not ignore. Elias Ward, the only human on board, walked down the hallway slowly, still thinking about what Commander Nerra had said the day before. Her words echoed in his mind. The galaxy respects strength, it fears the unknown. He had never thought of himself as someone powerful. He was just a normal guy. He liked coffee, music, and long walks. He liked simple things. But out here, with aliens who relied on energy cycles and calm living, he suddenly looked like something else. Something dangerous. Something special. Something they didn't know how to explain. As he walked, a small Lumerian child peeked out from behind a doorway. Her skin glowed a soft blue-green, and her silver eyes widened when she saw him. "Mama said humans have endless energy," she whispered. Elias gave her a warm smile. "Not endless. I get tired too." She tilted her head. "But not like us." Then she giggled and ran back to her mother. Elias sighed. He wasn't sure he liked this new attention. When he reached the research bay, he found Dr. Shira Valen already waiting. Her tablet flickered with countless charts and energy graphs. "Good morning, Elias," she said gently. "Did you sleep well?" "Yeah," he lied. "Sort of." Shira gave him a knowing look. "You are troubled." "Just thinking," he admitted. "About yesterday." Shira nodded. "Change is never simple, especially change that rewrites old beliefs." Before Elias could answer, the room's doors slid open and Commander Nerra stepped inside. Her tall figure carried an air of urgency. Her forehead markings glowed softly, never a good sign. "Shira? Elias?" she said, her voice firm. "There is news." Shira straightened. "What happened?" "Not what. Who?" Nerra took a breath. "A Rexian scout ship entered our sector." Shira paled. "Already? They never travel this far out." "Exactly," Nerra said, "which means they are not wandering. They are searching." Elias frowned. "Searching for what?" Nerra met his eyes. "For you." The room fell silent. Elias blinked. "Me? Why would they care about me? They don't even know who I am." Shira touched her tablet nervously. "The Rexians monitor all scientific transmissions. If they detected our test data or energy readings..." "At best," Nerra continued, "they are curious. At worst, they see you as a strategic asset." Elias's stomach tightened. "I didn't sign up to be a weapon." "You are not a weapon," Shira assured him quickly, but her voice shook slightly. Nerra stepped closer, her tone calm but sharp. "The Rexians are not like the Lumerians. They believe strength is the path to control. They admire power. They conquer what they fear." Elias swallowed. "And now they fear humans?" Nerra didn't answer. She didn't have to. Later that day, the research bay turned into a tense meeting room. The walls projected holograms of the Rexian ship, dark, angular, and shaped like a claw reaching into space. Symbols glowed along its edges, pulsing like a heartbeat. A small group of Lumerians gathered around the projection. Shira stood at the front. Nerra stood like a statue, eyes sharp. Elias stayed near the back. He felt like he didn't belong here, yet everyone kept glancing at him. Shira tapped the screen. "This is the Rexian scout craft. Their ships are fast, heavily armored, and usually carry only a small crew. But they never enter our sector without a reason," Nerra added. "We intercepted a communication pulse, encrypted, but the timing is no coincidence." One of the junior researchers raised a trembling hand. "Commander, if they come for the what will we do?" Nerra's eyes flashed. We will protect him. Every Lumerian stood a little straighter at her words. Elias stepped forward. I didn't want anyone dragged into trouble because of me. Shira turned to him. Elias, you do not understand. You represent something the galaxy has not seen before. Humans adapt. Humans endure. You can complete tests that would leave us unconscious. This kind of ability draws attention. Unwanted attention, Nerra added. Elias rubbed his forehead. Can't we just hide that I did the test? Shira shook her head sadly. Energy readings cannot be erased. Once a signal spreads, it travels across systems. Nerra folded her arms. We must prepare for contact. A sudden alarm blared through the ship. Everyone froze. The lights flickered. A red symbol flashed on the hologram screen. Incoming ship detected. Nerra spun toward the control panel. They found us. Shira's breath caught. So soon? Elias felt a chill spread down his spine. What do they want with me? We do not know, Shira whispered, but we will not hand you over. Nerra pressed a button. All crew to defensive positions. Research bay, remain here and lock the doors. The Lumerians obeyed instantly. Elias stared at her. Do you really think they'll attack? Nerra's face darkened. If they believe the human holds value, yes. The door shut with a heavy hiss. The room grew quiet again, except for the hum of energy shields powering up and the faint tremor of the ship adjusting position. Shira moved toward Elias slowly. Sit. Breathe. You are safe with us. He sat on the metal platform he had used for testing, but this time it felt like sitting on the edge of a storm. After several tense minutes, the ship shook slightly. A vibration ran through the walls. Ron checked the readings. The Rexian ship is scanning us. Nerra's voice came through the intercom. Shira, Elias, listen. Elias stood up fast. I'm here. There may be negotiation, Nerra said. Stay calm, but be ready to move. If they demand to board us, we must make fast decisions. Elias took a deep breath. Okay. He tried to keep his voice steady. But then another voice echoed through the ship, deeper, rougher, almost metallic. Lumerian vessel, it growled. We request access. You carry a human on board. We wish to examine it. Shira's hand flew to her mouth. Rand dropped his scanner. Elias went cold. It. They had called him it, like an object. Nerra answered sharply. The human is under Lumerian protection. State your purpose. The alien voice replied. We detected unusual energy output. If the human can repeat those results, its species may be useful. Shira whispered. They see you as a tool. Elias felt anger rise in his chest. I'm not letting them examine me like some machine. Nerra responded through the comm. Request denied. Leave this sector. The alien voice went silent. For a few seconds, everyone held their breath. Then, a violent blast shook the ship. Alarms screamed. Ron stumbled. Shira grabbed the table to keep herself steady. Sparks fell from the ceiling as the lights flickered wildly. Nerra's voice shouted through the intercom. They fired on us. Shields at 80%. All hands prepare for impact. Shira gasped. No, they are attacking. Elias balled his fists. This is because of me. Shira shook her head firmly. No, this is because they lack honor. The ship shook again as another blast struck the shields. Elias made a decision. He looked at Shira. Open the door. Her eyes widened. Elias, no! I'm not hiding, he said firmly. If they want to see what a human can do, then fine. I'll show them. Shira stared at him, stunned. The Lumerians were peaceful by nature. Their minds avoided conflict. But humans faced it. Ron whispered, This is HFY behavior. Elias stepped toward the door. Open it, Shira. Shira hesitated, torn between duty and fear. Finally, she nodded. The door unlocked with a soft hiss. Elias stepped into the corridor, the ship shaking around him. Sirens blared. Lumerian crew members rushed past, trying to reach their stations. He moved through them like a single point of calm in a storm. And for the first time, Elias realized something. The galaxy might fear humans, but humans didn't fear the galaxy. He marched toward the command deck, jaw set. If the Rexians wanted a challenge, he would give them one. The Aurora's gaze shook violently as another blast hit the outer shields. Lights flickered. Panels sparked. A dull alarm echoed through every hallway. The entire Lumerian crew moved in a coordinated rush, but even their calm discipline could not hide the fear in their glowing eyes. And through the chaos walked Elias Ward, a human surrounded by graceful aliens who were never meant for war. His footsteps were steady, his breathing calm, his mind sharp. He had made his decision. No more hiding. He reached the command deck. The doors slid open, and Elias stepped into a room filled with swirling holograms, flashing warning lights, and frantic calls from crew stations. Commander Nerra stood at the center, issuing orders with a strong, steady voice. "Redirect power to front shields. Prepare evasive maneuver pattern Delta 3, she commanded. When she saw Elias, her markings brightened with alarm. "Human! You should not be here!" "I'm not sitting in a locked room while they fire at us," Elias said. Nerra scowled. "You cannot fight a Rexian ship with your bare hands." "Maybe not," Elias admitted, "but I can help." Her eyes narrowed. "How?" Elias pointed toward the hologram of the enemy ship, its dark, claw-like silhouette drifting closer. "They're after me, right?" "Yes. So let's give them something else to think about." Nerra hesitated. She couldn't believe what the human was suggesting. "You want to use yourself as bait?" "I want to protect your crew," Elias said simply. "They don't deserve this." The room fell silent for a moment. Lumerians admired peace, but they respected bravery even more. Finally, Nerra nodded. "Very well, but we do it on my terms." Minutes later, Elias stood inside the central power chamber. A large circular room filled with glowing energy conduits. The air hummed with electricity. The ship's core pulsed with soft white light. Shira and Ryan stood beside him, their expressions tight with worry. Shira spoke softly. "Elias, there is another test we have never tried on a human. A dangerous one." Elias raised an eyebrow. "More dangerous than being shot at?" Shira managed a thin smile. "You will absorb part of the ship's energy output, only a small amount, but for Lumerians this level would be overwhelming. For you? We do not know." Elias nodded. "And what does it do?" "It will increase your body's electromagnetic field," Ron explained. "Our scanners detected that humans naturally produce a very faint one. If we amplify it, you might be able to interfere with the Rexian ship's targeting systems." Elias blinked. "You want me to scramble their tech by just being human?" Shira touched his arm. "Your species is extraordinary in ways we still do not understand." He gave a small smile. "Guess we're about to learn something new." Shira pressed her palm to the main console. The room vibrated. A glowing platform rose from the floor. "Stand here," she said. Elias stepped onto the platform. It felt warm, alive somehow. Shira warned, "This will not be painless." Elias breathed deeply. "Do it." Ron activated the controls. The lights brightened. The hum grew louder. Then, the energy hit him. Not violently, not painfully, but like a wave of heat rushing through his muscles, bones, and mind. Elias clenched his jaw, gripping the sides of the platform. His heart raced. His skin prickled with electricity. Every part of him felt heavier and lighter at the same time, as if the ship was suddenly part of him. Shira watched the readings, eyes wide with awe. His energy levels are rising, rising. Incredible, Ron whispered. A Lumerian would lose consciousness instantly, but he is stable. Elias forced a shaky breath. How long do I have? Shira checked the monitor. 5 minutes, maybe less. Enough, Elias said. He stepped off the platform. Energy crackled faintly around his hands like tiny sparks. He felt stronger, but also fragile, like he was carrying lightning inside him. Nerra's voice came through the comm. Elias, the Rexians are preparing to fire again. Elias straightened. Open the forward bay door. Shira's eyes widened in shock. Elias, that leads directly to the viewing deck. There is no shield. I'm not going outside, he said. Just let them see me. Nerra hesitated, then responded, Opening forward bay. The viewing deck was a wide, curved window showing the vast darkness of space. The enemy ship hovered like a predator, cold, dark, waiting. Elias stepped into the center of the deck. His body glowed faintly, the energy shimmering around him. It wasn't bright, not dramatic, just a soft aura like a star hidden beneath skin. Shira and Ron stood behind him. Nerra's voice echoed through the room. Rexian vessel. Observe. The alien ship flashed with scanning beams. Then the Rexian voice returned, colder than before. What have you done to the human? Shira lifted her chin proudly. We tested him, and he succeeded. The Rexian growled. A single creature will not stop us. Elias stepped closer to the window. Want a bet? The enemy ship powered its weapons again. Shira whispered, Elias, now. He closed his eyes and let the energy flow through him. For a moment, the world went silent. Then, a wave of electromagnetic force pulsed from his body, rippling across the viewing deck, through the ship's hull, and into open space. The Rexian ship flickered. Lights died. Engines sputtered. Weapon ports shut down with a metallic clank. Shira gasped. It worked! Ron shouted. The Rexian systems are completely disrupted! Elias fell to one knee, breathing hard. The energy drained from him instantly, leaving him exhausted but alive. Shira rushed to his side. Elias, I'm fine, he managed. Just tired. Nerra's voice echoed through the comm. Triumphant and firm. Rexian vessel, you are disabled. Leave now, or face the full strength of the Aurora's gaze. In the silence that followed, the Rexian captain replied bitterly, This is not over. But the enemy ship slowly turned. With flickering engines, it retreated into the darkness, disappearing into the distant stars. Elias exhaled in relief and passed out. When he woke up, he was lying on a medical bed. Soft lights glowed above him. The air smelled clean and metallic. Shira sat beside him with a smile. Welcome back. Elias groaned. How long was I out? 2 hours, she said gently. Your body is back to normal. No damage. Ron peeked from behind her. But we learned a great deal. Elias smirked. Glad I could help with your homework. Nerra entered the room, her markings dimmed with calm. Human, you saved the ship. Elias shook his head. We saved it. All of us. Nerra stepped closer, her tone softer than usual. You showed the galaxy that humans are not tools, not weapons, but allies worth respecting. Shira added, And we will record today's events carefully, but we will not share your energy data. Not with anyone. The Rexians cannot know the limits of what you can do. Elias nodded gratefully. Thank you. The Lumerians exchanged warm looks. Ron said quietly, This is HFY behavior again. Shira nodded. Humans are surprising. Nerra looked at Elias with something like admiration. You stood before a warship with nothing but courage, and that is something even Lumerians can learn from. Elias smiled, tired but proud. Guess humans have their moments. Shira placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Rest now. Your journey with us is only beginning. Elias closed his eyes, surrounded by the strange, peaceful hum of the alien ship. Somewhere out in the stars, enemies were watching. But he was not afraid, because now the galaxy knew humans don't quit. Humans don't break. Humans stand their ground. And Elias Ward, one ordinary man with extraordinary resolve, had shown them all exactly what a human could do.